All right, we're live again.
All right.
And now we got to give it another 2 minutes for everybody to come on again.
But let me see. Talk?
Michael, yeah. Vered, can you hear us now? Cindy, Vered?
No, I can't hear anything.
Kate?
I can hear you.
Any sound? Oh, great. Cindy says it works.
It does work? Okay.
All right. Woohoo! Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties.
So we sure? We good?
We're good.
So people are coming back. Please come back. Should I go? Start again? 1, 2, 3. Bonjour! This is Pierre from Savoir-Faire, and here we are in Novato, California, Marin County. Beautiful, sunny day. In the middle of the holiday season. It's happy spirit, even though we are being challenged. We've been tested, it's been 9 months. 9 months, we closed, shelter in place, COVID. And that's how we started those live. And that's been 9 months, so it's about 270 days or something like that. It's crazy. So look what happened. COVID, coronavirus, out of nowhere. We didn't know, everybody freaked out. We all shelter in place, what to do. Then we had unrest because of injustice, the equality and all that. We had fires, hurricane. We had a very challenging election. We have a second wave of corona. We had economic challenge, recession, we can talk. We have, stop traveling, not seeing our loved one. We don't go to the movies. We don't go to the theater. No concert, nothing. And yet, what prevails is art. Art is saving our soul. It's so useful, and that's what I'm preaching all those months about how art is good for you, good for the world, and thanks to your generosity, our generosity, we inspire people with art. We heal people with art. We educate people through art. So art is essential, and that's what had motivated us to stay in business. And thank you, all of you artists. Please continue to spread the love of art because it's good for everybody. So anyway, I wanted to say that. Art keeps us together, and please, we have light at the end of the tunnel. Still be patient, trying to keep your distance, your mask and all that. We know the virus, the vaccine to kill the virus is right there. So please hang on, trying to be strong through the holidays, and then it'll be a new year and things will work. So today we have someone very, very special. That actually, we'll talk about that, but I met in a very particular setting. Some of you may have seen some of the photo I showed. So anyway, Kate is incredible. Not only she's a beautiful, smart, super talented lady and artist, but you'll see. So anyway, I think there's no reason to wait. Let's get Kate, come on. All right. And I don't know what we did to fix it, but...
Am I on?
You're on.
Hi.
Hello, Kate.
Whoa, it's really bright in here. Hold on. Is there any way to fix that? I'm just gonna look like a ghost.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Okay. It's super blown out, but the sun's gonna go down and then it'll be all weird lighting in here. Anyway, hi.
Bonjour, Kate. Look at you.
Bonjour.
Yes. So I'm watching sometime on my camera, but I have a lap, so I'm not going to look at you just occasionally, but you look beautiful, okay. And it's true. You look very, very strong light. So thank you, Kate, for coming.
I just ran in to turn it down for me. It's really a lot of light.
But it's okay. We see your beautiful smile. That's what's important. So anyway, Kate, we're all very anxious to hear your story, to show us some tricks and all that. But why don't we start with you? Tell us, I am, but I mean many of us are fascinated to know what how did you start? Because I mean, your work is incredible. You know, your talent, your thing, it's fantastic. But tell us, how did you start? What inspired you to go into the arts? Can you tell us briefly your journey to get you where you are today, that got you where you are today, and then we move on to today? So tell us a little bit, please.
I'll try to make it brief. So I was just kind of working all kinds of random jobs. I was doing modeling out in New York, and then I moved to Los Angeles, so I was doing it out here. And then I would just kind of have like, you know, lame jobs, like just to, you know, supplement income and whatever. But then just started like hanging out with artists, and I didn't know that was a career. I didn't know you could just like be an artist. I thought you had to like, you know, do other things, and then maybe sometimes you would get to do art. And so I was like, well, I could probably do that. And I didn't want to do modeling anymore. I was just like, you know, I'm getting too old for that. And also like, I just didn't love like, you know, the type of people that sometimes hang out in those type of crowds. So I just wanted something fulfilling to do. And I was like, well, I could probably do art. And so I just started trying to teach myself how to do art, and then quickly realized, oh shit, like this is way harder than it seemed. Like I was so confident going into it, but I didn't want any help. Like I didn't want anybody to tell me how to do stuff. I just wanted to figure it out on my own because I'm super stubborn, which now I realize like it would have been great to like take workshops, but I didn't know any art, like other artists at the time. So I didn't really know what I was doing. So started out, really wanted to make monsters and like creepy things.
But
and
what age? How old were you at that time?
25, 26.
Okay. Oh,
so,
it was just last year then.
Like almost 10 years ago.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, whatever, like I'll do it. So I just tried to start creating monsters, but it turns out I'm not just that innately creative. Like I can't just come up with a monster out of the top of my head. Like there's brilliant artists that do that, and I wanted to be that without any basis in reality on like how to draw a face, like what's a facial, like a generic facial structure like. I don't know lights, values, darks, like I don't know any of that yet. And so since I had been modeling, I of course loved, you know, fashion magazines, and I was always on Tumblr like looking at all the like beautiful fashion stuff. And so I would just start like drawing stuff from magazines, or, you know, like the models that I saw that I liked in an editorial, and then just constantly would try to get better, each day get better. And it didn't happen for maybe like a year before I was like really comfortable with like a facial structure and like composition wise. But it took a long time, but I worked every single day for at least 10 hours a day. Like luckily I had the luxury to do that at the time. Like I know that not everybody can just devote 10 hours, but I did it every single day. And at the end of the year, I had, you know, a huge stack of drawings and, you know, like watercolor paintings and that kind of thing that they were all like I abandoned them. I have no idea where they are anymore. Like they're just in the ether of the world. But I just try to do it every single day and get better and better.
Still, hold on. Still without coaching, without instruction.
No.
Fully yourself.
Yeah, which like looking back, I wish that I would have known that workshops were a thing, which is like a big reason why I love teaching workshops, because like whenever you're self-taught and you do things all on your own and you're disconnected from artists or anything, it's really hard to know that people teach workshops. It's hard to know that like, you know, people are accessible or like love to share knowledge. All I thought was art school. You go to art school, you spend $1 billion, and then you work at a library or something completely unrelated to what your degree is. So like
it's true. However, I would say, sorry, but however, 10 and more years ago, all those atelier workshops, they were not as easily accessible, known, and there was not as many. So you are correct.
Yeah,
at the time, the path was more art school or university and college, and there was a few.
Right, it was like a traditional path. Now it's everywhere. But like I was living in Tennessee at the time, and so I was familiar with Townsend Atelier. So that's the first atelier I had ever, like luckily for me, because they're wonderful people, they like they were the first atelier that I had known about, but this was after I had been doing art already for about a year. And yeah, now it's like, you know, it's definitely the community is more accessible and open with Instagram and all these platforms that elevate art. So like at the time, I didn't know Instagram was a social media site. A friend of mine on Tumblr was like, hey, do you have an Instagram? You should post your art over there. Because I was just like an internet artist. Like I started everything out on the internet. Like I would post something on Tumblr. And then I got, I think, like 1,000 people following me. And I was just like, holy shit, like you guys, this is my work. Like people like this. And I couldn't believe it. And it's still to this day, I just like have horrible imposter syndrome. And I'm just like, are you me? What? Like, are you sure? But at the time, like my friend was like, you need to get an Instagram. And I was like, well, I have one. And he's like, well, add me. I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't know it was like a social media thing. So then I started posting on Instagram. He had given me a shout out. And then I got like 500 followers. And from there, people would start commissioning me and then like galleries and all that kind of thing. So it was kind of a slow but quick progression. Like I was still learning art. Like I'm still learning art, but like at the time I was still like trying to find what I was saying. So it's still, you know, like morphing and whatever, but I think that's any artist really.
So I would like to circle back when you said early on, you were attracted, that you were inspired by monsters or all those things. So I have to tell you, last year, was it last year or 2 years ago? I forgot now the time. I went to that show, Designer Con in Anaheim.
Yeah.
No idea the scale. So I guess particularly in LA, California, I know there's Comic Con in New York. I was blown away by the interest in all those people making those monsters, those things and all that. It's a huge genre. So
Yeah.
you started there, but you then went back to, I mean, more to portrait, or
Yeah,
you
it's just
monsters?
like now it's completely not monsters at all. Like I have in some of my in-person workshops, I show like a slideshow of like my very first embarrassing works where I'm just like either copying artists that I really enjoyed, like very clever monster or creature type of creation. I was really trying to be that, but with just totally no like basis of comparison, like anatomy or anything. I had no idea what I was doing. So I can see like where I really wanted to be that, but I also didn't know how to differentiate between like admiring an artist and then wanting to make that work. So the people that I admired, I still admire. Holy crap, it's incredible to just do concept things out of your freaking head. But the what I'm doing now, this is what made sense to me and what like it made my natural progression as an artist become what it is now, and the things that I actually enjoy drawing instead of what I enjoy seeing.
Okay, but that's very important. So I'd like to give just a quick little anecdote about that. This is such a strong subculture, particularly in LA. I mean, I've experienced this in Southern California more than anywhere else. Is all those, I remember, you probably know John in Santa Monica, they do those parties, they used to, and I remember, and they invited guests, I went there.
Oh, Swihart, yeah.
Yeah, with David Casson and things like that, who when he did the show here. And then I was going and I met several people who started there, either in the movie or the animation industry or the game industry, and now they've learned their craft, and now they just become fine art artists. But many of them started there, and in particular, I remember meeting that lady who started, and she was the lady who created Shrek, and so talking about monster, and now she's a full-blown fine artist. So anyway, anyway, so let's talk about you now. So tell us about you have a question?
Well, I speaking of now, I know that Kate has something that launched today, so I think we should ask her about that.
Yes, yeah, I heard about that. So I heard a special connection, and in fact, yes, Yoshino, you remember our friend Yoshino that came, but was a little challenge, a very good friend, and in fact, and a good friend of Kate. And so tell us about that. Yeah, this is great. And I'm
Yeah, so
it's
I
so
didn't
special that it's today on your live that it's launching. So yeah, tell us about that, please.
Yeah, I haven't even posted about it. I was like hurrying up, getting ready, and then I was like, I gotta post that, but I'll just talk about it here too. So Yoshino is part of No Wave Academy, Justin Hopkins also. We had done an online workshop, I think October last year it came out. We have a new one coming out. It's out today. And it's how I tone paper, like hand tone paper, and then also doing a male portrait with a varying skin tone, because my other two portraits were lighter. This one's a little darker skin tone, just showing how you can manipulate the tone of the paper to benefit you for each piece and make it unique. And so that's out today, and it's $50, which is a really nice price, I think, for our COVID wallets.
And
But
for one person who signed on, they are going to win that today,
That's true.
along with some of the materials that you enjoy. So
yeah, so it's exciting. Yeah,
they'll get in.
Yoshino and the Waves were very generous to offer, you know, today the first. So hopefully, a good person will get that giveaway.
A very early look, yes.
Yeah. So now, talking about today, so toning, paper, and all that. What would you say now that you know other people in the industry? You have a strong community, followers, and you now you're a professional, successful professional. What can you tell us a couple of tricks? What did you find? It looks like you have very specific technique and all that. What would you say of your technique? How something special about what you do that it's not necessarily very common to all the ateliers and all that? You must have a little.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because, like, I like that question because it's bringing up how my technique is completely almost opposite of academia. And it's because I taught myself, I think. Like, I didn't know that people I knew that people, like, sketched it out and stuff, but I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to, like, commit to the dark values right now. Like, you can't erase that. It's intimidating. So I started working on toned paper because it's a mid-tone. Then I go for the lights first because that's less committal. Like, you can mess up and you can erase it and it's fine. And I also use powdered pastel and a bristle brush to apply on the toned paper. I have like some examples in a little bit if we need to.
You know, I can't wait.
Like,
you know, the concept of using pastel with the brush, it's very intriguing. Look, I even brought some pastel and some brush. Maybe I'll doodle while we demo. So are you going to be able to share some of those tricks today? Because I know a lot of our viewers, our community, they love to get our guests their hands dirty.
Yes, definitely. Just because it, like, whenever you hear about it, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm a super visual learner, like to the point where, like, I can't even read directions without getting really anxious, confused, and like I almost, it's almost like a learning disability or something. Like, I can't process information like that. I have to see it visually, so I understand that, like, me saying it or me explaining it is very different than showing it. So I definitely have some things around to make a little more sense to people that are like me and have a hard time like learning audibly. But yeah, so I just kind of came up with this system because I'm a timid artist. Like, I paint really thin. Everything's very like, ooh, I don't want to mess up, because I think that that's a disadvantage to not attending art school or workshops, because you're forced to experiment in art school. You're forced to do all these challenges. And I feel like for me, every piece is super sentimental, because every piece I'm sort of making my own exercises. So it's harder for me sometimes to have fun and experiment. So for this makes it a lot more fun from the beginning. First of all, the toned paper, that's already one step out of the way. Like, you don't have to create a mid-tone. So I play with the toned paper because you can now play with the highlights and the darkest darks, which are the most important parts that everybody gets excited about doing anyway. So the quicker you can get to the fun part, like, why wouldn't we want to do that? Yeah. So I start with the lights first with a brush, and then I take a mechanical eraser like this, and you can just erase out where your drawing is. And so it's really airbrushed and really nice and super soft, and you can just timidly like pick at it until it looks like a thing, which it does almost from the beginning, and you get to kind of have fun instead of, oh God, I don't want to put, like, I don't want to press down with the dark yet. Like, I just have a really hard time. I had a hard time. I still am like, oh, the next step is putting darks on, and I don't want to yet.
But I like the idea of having fun. You know, if you can combine fun and your practice and your work, this is ideal. This is a perfect world. And that, you know, I know a lot of people think, so that's different philosophy, you know, with when I meet artists, teachers and all that. So there is that concept by some people that you have to rough it in, that you have to work hard, that you have to pay your dues.
You have to really,
you know, you have to start with bad material, to be tough, to suffer until you earn the right to have fun.
Right.
I don't
pay your dues and suffer. Which, like, it is. Like, any artist that I know, it's almost like a weird prison that you have. Like, you love creating art and you have to do it, but like you have to do it or else like you don't feel like a whole person. So I think it's important to remind yourself of why you're doing it. You're doing it because it is a fun and amazing and exciting thing to do. And instead of making yourself suffer, sure, like, yeah, it's really challenging to make a thing look like a thing when that's what you're trying to make it look like, and your brain's telling you all this other stuff that it thinks that you should know at the same time or whatever. But I like doing it with the highlights first on tone paper because I feel like it's fun. Like, the whole time it's fun. It's emerging out of the paper from the beginning. And to me, I'm just like, cool, instant gratification, instead of trying to be patient or being bold enough to just like Sean's amazing at doing, you know, just like nailing the drawing, but he was trained as an illustrator. So he has that backbone of. So
Sean, you didn't introduce Sean. You're referring to your husband, right?
Boyfriend.
A boyfriend, yeah. Okay, boyfriend.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Guy that.
All the same. Your partner, your loved one. Okay.
Yes. My dog children's father.
All right, so sorry about that, but when you mentioned
that's Sean
I'd like to know who you're referring to. So,
it's
all right, but we can't wait. Show us something.
We are getting a lot of feedback that people are excited to see something. So that is
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I don't want to move this too much just because it took me a while to get this up here. Holy shit, it's happening. I'm sorry, like, I'm so technically weird. Okay, so just really quick, right here I have, this is just a bit of sandpaper. I think this, where's the thing? Okay, so this is like 220 sandpaper. I just rip it in half, tape it to the table. Can you see it?
We can see the sandpaper right now. Yep.
Okay, and then I'll take, this is a Sennelier number 525. It's just white pastel. It's dry pastel. Make sure dry pastel. And then I just powder it up on the sandpaper. And then I take a bristle brush. I'm holding two different things at the same time, and I'm so confused. Okay.
And I think it's appropriate. You can give a shout out to your brush because our friends are on.
Woo, woo.
Oh, Courtney's here.
Yes.
Oh, bonjour, Courtney. I owe you a phone call. I miss you.
Courtney, get in here. I'm just kidding. Okay, so put your dog on the phone. Okay, so I powdered the pastel. This is just a pile of darks from before. Because this is a dry medium, you don't ever have to clean your brushes, like, unless you really want to. No, it's gonna fall off the table. I'm trying to like just. No, it's okay. Thank you. Okay, so then I take the bristle brush. I'm using a Trekell number 6 bristle brush. This is, I use two different sizes. I use a number 4 and a number 6. The number 4 is just a little skinnier for like tighter areas, if you can see that. Whenever I'm doing this, I have a brush for lights and a brush for darks. Just so you never have to clean them. They're always gonna be dark and light, so boom. So then what I do is I sort of anchor my finger, my pinky finger, and I roll, there we go. I roll the brush in the pastel, and then, let me get another piece of paper.
Oh, that's how she does it.
And then, ba-boom. And you can cover a huge amount of area in a small time. And then I'll take my little pencil, if I haven't done a sketch in first, and you can just carve out where the anatomy is going to be. Oh my God. So easy.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Oh my God.
I'm going to answer a question that we get pretty often. Linda asked if we can make your picture bigger. And unfortunately, Linda, on Instagram, it's a 50-50 split and it won't let us adjust anything. But definitely check out Kate's Instagram, and there's lots and lots of beautiful photos and pictures of her work and
I have
that
some
workshop.
here too, but it'll only be for half.
Yeah, but I really want to say something about that. We improv that live back in March. It was for the sake when the COVID arrived, and it's been very popular thanks to all of you guys. So we may develop also another platform where we can have to feature the artist, the guest more thoroughly. This is just, look at it as a teaser. She's teasing you to take her classes or to
buy my class.
So don't take it as a full class today, but we'll have other events where we'll
Maybe I can hold it up. Maybe if I hold it up, I'll just do it backwards. I mean, either way, you get the gist. This is weird to do this backwards.
That's
Plus,
not how you always paint?
Huh?
That's not how you always paint?
Totally. All my pieces, I'm just like.
Now, our friend Oksana wants to know what paper you use.
Okay, my absolute 100% favorite brand of paper, I use so many different kinds of the paper, is Fabriano.
Ooh.
Mostly I'm using, oh my God, it's the greatest paper. And I only know that just through trial and error. You always like go to the art store, buy papers or whatever. And I just started using Fabriano, and there's something about the quality of the paper on how it's very smooth, but it also absorbs the dry materials that I'm putting on it. And it takes so much abuse because these bristle brushes are so, like, they're bristles. It's really aggressive, and I'm really just like grinding it in, because honestly, the harder you press with your bristle brush, the more like smooth and airbrushy it will get. So I'm really putting the paper through abuse, and it stays like perfectly smooth, no issues. And when I tone my own paper, also, I brought a little sample of it. I'm using, okay, so, sorry. I'm usually using gray tone, it's clay toned Fabriano paper, and it's just the gray one. I also have the sand tone, the moss tone, and the sea tone. The moss toned is like amazing. It's this beautiful green color. Awesome. So whenever I'm toning my own paper, I'm using the hot press watercolor paper. And that really, it's a smooth watercolor paper. Like, I didn't want any texture. I don't like texture in my stuff. So for this, I just brought a little sample. So the paper is, obviously, it comes like in a very light shade. I tape it down, then I watercolor tone it, and then it's whatever tone you want. And the toning is also in the No Way video that came out today. So
can I say something? I just not to tell you, because first of all, I thank you. I didn't know you love so much Fabriano. I sort of know that because I know how you told me that. That's why I talked once that you like this one. But thank you for your passion about Fabriano. But I'd like to say one little thing, because and by meeting a lot of you of your particularly the great professional realism painter, you do a lot of drawing, very professional drawings and all that. And a lot of it in our trade, in the art supply business, I've realized that they don't promote real great drawing or sketching paper. A lot of those companies, they think, for sketching or drawing, they don't need, and a lot of companies using commercial paper. The difference with Fabriano is we come from the history of 750 years old and always made the paper from the mill with cotton and the fiber. And I'm glad you said that, because many people think that the quality of paper is not necessarily as relevant for drawing. So thank you for saying that. And I know many of you are asking me all the time, oh, can you come up with a real drawing paper and all that? Because you usually use watercolor paper or printmaking paper, or now we've developed that tone paper, but there is cotton in it, as opposed to the other tone paper in the market, they're usually commercial paper. So anyway, just wanted to say a little something about this myth about, no, if you want to do a great drawing or sketch, use a good paper. So I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Well,
No, it's really important to use supplies that will elevate you instead of hinder you. Like, you shouldn't be working against your supplies. You should be using supplies that help you get to my dog. It wants to be held.
oh,
Okay, you can hold your dog on line. It's okay.
She's very needy. She's a puppy. But so yeah, like, I didn't real it's one of those things that if you're not around people who can help you, like, oh, well, why don't you use this paper, or, you know, like, this is why you're struggling, then you kind of have to trial and error it. And it just happened that I used it one time, and I didn't know that I was missing it until I had it, you know. And now I base every paper off of the high quality that I feel Fabriano is. It's like the oldest paper company in the world, isn't it?
Yes, they started in 1264, so 756 years, I guess.
It's as old as I am. So
But Andrew, you want to say something?
well, we had a question, and I don't want to forget that we had it. And I'm not sure if it's something that Kate is going to mention later, but our friend Vered, our very good friend Vered, has asked us if you leave your drawings the way they are when you're finished, or if you spray anything on them.
that's a good question. I don't usually spray every piece, but since I've gotten the fixative, I have been spraying more pieces.
Now, which fixative?
Yeah, I got a tip.
Can
I got the
Pierre
tip
say it?
because
Because
it's on
I'm
the
just
giveaway.
going, oh, this happens to have a bottle nearby. I was using a different brand before, but I just didn't like it as much, and I just don't like spraying my work. But I have been now, and I always spray it if it's for a commission or if I'm sending the piece out. More times than not, I'm going to be spraying it. It's charcoal. It's like, it goes away. Like, it needs to be protected.
Now,
So
Kate wants you to say the name.
Yeah, you say it.
okay, so Lascaux. So the brand is Lascaux, and Lascaux, like the cave, like the Lascaux cave. It shows that it's archival, and basically is called Lascaux Fix. And I can give 2 cents on fixative because I've been promoting pastel for over 30 years. You know, the fixative issue has been, you know, very important. So my philosophy, like you, Kate, if you can get away by not using fixative, don't. But the truth is, when you're a professional and you carry your work around in galleries, in museums, in shows, in festivals, in trade fair, it's when you use charcoal or pastel, you better off
You
having
need it
some
to
kind of
stay,
fixative.
or put it underneath, you know, glass or plexi. But there's nothing wrong with spraying it with, again, like, good quality things that are not going to turn. Like, the problem with fixatives is they can turn your paper color, or, you know, like, sometimes there's little beads or something. But like, I like the mist on that one. It never just like clots. Like, it doesn't hinder or alter my drawing.
So that's what I want to, and I finish with that, and I'll give you back, because so Lascaux is first of all the first company that invented acrylic in Europe at the same time as the acrylic was developed here. But one of the things they've done, they have a whole department of restoration. So it's called Restoro. So they have developed a lot of medium, adhesive, fixative things for restoration, for museum. So that's probably one of the reasons this Lascaux Fix from Lascaux, some people refer it as the Swiss Army knife of art supplies. It's the only real universal fixative that 100% archival, meaning from what you said, it doesn't yellow, it doesn't crack, it doesn't change, because it's designed for museum originally. So it's a little more expensive than others, because when you use inexpensive or real commercial fixative, you are correct, Kate, it could be counterproductive, because it might fix your drawing for a little bit, but in a few years it turns yellow or it darkens your tone and all that. So my opinion is you either don't use fixative or you use a very good fixative. And it's not the only one, but this is probably the best.
That's basically my rule is like, I'm not going to use it unless it's not going to mess up my drawing. Because like, what's the point of doing this thing that you're really proud of and love? And maybe you're sending it to someone, or, you know, maybe it's for money, you know, like it doesn't matter. You don't want something that you poured so much heart and soul and time into to just be like, oh my God, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. So fantastic. So go ahead, give us another thing. So you have more questions, Andrew? So what
well, Ree Boylan, another friend of ours who's on every week, has asked if it can be used on watercolor. She asked Pierre, but I think either of you can answer that since you both.
I don't know.
Well, it will absolutely work on watercolor.
Yes, yeah. But Andrew knows, you know, Andrew is very humble and modest, but in many cases, he knows more than me. Maybe I'm supposed to be the professor, but my student has already surpassed me. So.
Yeah, no, Andrew is the one that suggested the hot press watercolor paper because I came to him with a specific need, and he, you know, like gave me not only the suggestion, but why. And I like the why because, you know, it's never a bad thing to know why a thing's working when another thing doesn't. And yeah, no, Andrew knows a ton too.
All right. So what's the time frame? Oh, we still have a few minutes.
We've got about 20 minutes.
You have this time for the giveaway, or we continue a little more?
Let's ask Cindy. Cindy, do you think it's time for us to do the giveaway? And she'll come back and answer us in the notes here while we do some other things.
So
I saw someone had typed onions a long time ago. I didn't realize like the whole kitchen's like, this is what we eat here.
So I have just to change subject, even though, you know, if you have other trick, if you want to show more of your artwork or show your studio or show some drawing, we'd love to. But meanwhile, while we wait for the giveaway, I started to say in my introduction, and maybe you can help me, because I believe we knew of each other. We may have talked before, but in my memory, I think the first time we really met one-on-one, wasn't it at your birthday party or at Natalia's birthday party? I got confused. It was so warm.
It was both of our birthday party. She's actually April 3rd and I'm April 4th. So we had a combined pre-COVID last year murder mystery party in a Gatsby theme. So everybody dressed up in our like Gatsby attire and had this amazing fun night. But Pierre joined us and would totally fit in exactly like with the costumes. Yeah, it was so much fun. But I was like, I don't know if he's gonna I had a white blonde wig on, and so I was like, he's not gonna ever know it's me later on.
No, it was weird. I forgot what I was telling last night or this morning, because, you know, I posted a couple of the photos that I think Sean took or some I took. But anyway, it was weird because that all night here it was a small group. All of you knew each other so well. You were all friends. It was a small community, very tight, you know, friend group. And thanks to Courtney and Natalia and you invited me, and it was weird because I would keep on meeting people, but I never knew if I was meeting their character or themselves. So that is that quiproquo, as we say in French, the real quiproquo in the French way. It was a mystery to me because I never knew the conversation we had. Were we on the break from the movie, or is that the real people, or is it the fake people? It was so weird.
Yeah, it was weird because you have to you have lines and you have to go up to a person and tell them, and then somebody ends up dying, not really dying, hopefully, but then they have to work out who did it. And I am really pretty shy, and so I was like, I really don't want a role that's possible. I just like to be on the outskirts of all the fun. So it ended up being amazing, but that whole group is really great because it's not an exclusive group of people like you were talking about. Everybody's really close, but those are all, Sean's friends from Art Center. They all went to Art Center together and they've all stayed super close, and they all have these amazing, wonderful art careers, and everybody supports each other, and just a group of people. And then new people come in and they're just so welcoming, and it was just such a nice experience to have a real birthday party. I've never had a huge birthday party before, and just here's this new person, hi. And it was just so much fun. And everybody got to make friends with people that they might not have ever gotten to meet otherwise.
Yeah. So, but thank you again. So anyway, next, are we giveaway? Are we
The giveaway is to another friend of ours, fantastic, somebody else who comes on a regular basis, Kay Martinez, Fine Art. You have won this grand prize. So if you didn't see Cindy's note, go ahead and send us a DM with your address and information, and we will take care of you.
All right, bravo!
Yay!
Woo.
And we are getting quite a few requests for people to see your work, Kate. Do you have anything you can show off?
Just funnily enough, I have a little pile here. I saw people asking about a studio, like, this is it.
Woohoo!
Take it right in this chair. We have like studio space, but for me, like, I have such a weird brain that if I have to leave my house in any way to work, I won't do it. So like, I have to roll from bed in pajamas, sitting here. I put on a nice shirt today for you. Otherwise, this is all like pajamas still, and I have a little everything.
So you mean to paint like Natalia paints?
I'm not. I'm mostly just drawing here. Did you say, do I paint?
Okay, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding because Natalia is known for
the pajamas. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Never mind. Let's go back to your work. Sorry.
Okay. So this is my studio, and okay. So this is a watercolor on the watercolor paper, just like Hannibal Lecter. But this is the hot press. It's really, really smooth. It's real sturdy, but this is just like a watercolor. And then I have like watercolor pencil and like pastel pencil in there because I can't not put details. Like that's my problem with painting in general is I feel like I can't get as detailed as I do with charcoal. Okay, Julia.
And Pierre's not texting. He's looking at his phone to see.
No, I'm bored. I'm texting my friends.
Pierre's on Snapchat right now. This is one on the sand tone.
For me, it's always fascinating to see, watercolor used in such detailed and perfect way. Because me, I have this idea of watercolor just big
like
water. So it's very
impressive.
impressive.
And that's how it sort of started out. Like I wanted it to be like, because I love like Nick Runge's work and just like watercolors. Oh, it's so great. But that's another one of those things where it's like, you can admire someone, but you might not necessarily do that for yourself. So like I started out like big blocky, and then I just get a little carried away with the details, but I don't ever watercolor. So I was pretty excited about that one. Okay. So this one is on the Fabriano, the little pads. This is is it called sand toned?
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Yeah.
This one bothers me because this guy's a little too far apart. Oh yeah, there it is. But there we go. And then I saw someone also ask about how do I store my work if I don't, or do I spray it to store it? We have a flat file. We have a couple of flat files, and I just lay it in there, and I don't really move it around. Okay, so the Fabriano pad I use the most is the clay toned. I love the gray. Exactly, that's the one I'm using. I used it for this. This is pastel. She's an amazing artist, Jimena Reno. I don't know if you guys know her. She's wonderful. This is on the clay toned pastel charcoal, and then a little bit of like colored pastel. Sorry, it's like really warped because my thing's pointing.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Somebody else had asked if you use only black and white or if you ever incorporate color. And I think the last two paintings you've shown have talked about that.
I brought some that incorporate some of the colored pastel. I like to put it around the eyes and the lips and the nose. Here's one. All of our favorite movie, Demolition Man. Just kidding, it's my favorite movie. Simon Phoenix, but I did his eyes different colors because they're different colors in the movie, but it's hard to take pictures of art. But I was really stoked about drawing Wesley Snipes.
And it's early in the movie, not the last scene, because then it would be a lot of little drawings.
Yes. Simon says die. So what I do if I need it to just be like a smaller drawing, I'll just half it sometimes just to sit around and sketch. This is another one of Sean I just did last like Christmas time. I was like, I'll draw that face, like, because the glasses are such a challenge and I'd never drawn the glasses before. And the hat and stuff, so there's different textures in there. I don't usually go for, but I enjoyed it. Let's see.
Wow.
Most of these are on the gray toned.
Incredible.
Pierre's got about a 10-second gap between when you show stuff and when he can see it. So he was just commenting on how he liked the drawing of Sean.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so this is another gray tone. This was a demo at one of my workshops, I think in Scottsdale. And this is my little brother. I'd never, ever drawn him in my entire life. And so it was kind of like really intimidating because he's so adorable and beautiful. And I'd never drawn him before. And it's my brother. So it's like a face that I know the best. But I ended up liking how this one came out. So I didn't spray this one. And some places where the brightest brights are is a little dim now because of the travel, and I didn't fix it. So that's like something that you worry about whenever you're moving drawings around, is like the transfer and things like, you know, coming off. Somebody asked if it was from Life or Reference. That one was from a reference. We tried to draw each other from Life, but we're both moving around, and it's really hard. I mean,
but in general,
as
a general question for this particular one, but usually do you always paint or draw live? I mean, you like live model from photo, or even some imagination, or combination of all three?
It's never from my imagination, no. I do like doing live drawing, but usually in my workshops I teach photography because that's what I do. I don't have access to a model all the times that I want to draw, and I usually I used to work primarily at night, and so I would just, you know, take some photos and then draw them. I still do that. I take my own reference, so I get the ideas, model comes over, we shoot, blah blah blah. But I'm usually using reference. It's never from my imagination. Like I do some life drawing, not a lot. I don't teach it, and then sometimes I teach it. That's a lie, but I'm mostly working from the photos that I've taken.
Okay, very good. So you see, for me, since I never took the time, or I never took the class, take any classes to know how to draw and I'm so impressed that you've been self-taught and have such an amazing technique. But me, I just do the fun part. I just love to play with colors, and I do that. Maybe someday I'll learn how to draw, but meanwhile, I skip the drawing part and just straight with the fun part. No, just kidding.
Right. If you're not interested in it, just have fun. That's what we're all trying to do. Just have some fun.
So, how much time do we have, Mr.?
We've got about 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes left.
So yes, you have other question. Otherwise, I'd like to finish with Kate. Give us some idea, some perspective of how do you think we give us I don't know how to say, your philosophy of how we're gonna manage through all those crises, how the art is going to help us. Is the art gonna help us? That's what I want to know.
It has to. Like, I know that most artists, and even people that aren't necessarily like professional artists or more hobbyists or people that have never drawn or painted before, they're able to now do it. So I think that it's helping us, even though we might not know it is. Like, anybody who's bought a workshop online, anybody who's bought art supplies since COVID started, anybody who just put a pencil or apparatus to paper or canvas, it's already trying to heal. Like, you know, it's trying to heal us. We're trying to let it heal us. That's all we have. We have no control over anything that happens in the world, really. And so this is the one thing that I focus on because it's something that I have control over. So because of that, I rely completely on it, because I feel like in a world that's so unfair and so hard to navigate, at least we have art. I know that might sound so silly, but at least we have
a little gap. So yeah, so you know, I want to repeat the audience that this is no script, no rehearsal, it's all improv. I didn't know anything we were talking about, but I asked you that question, and it sounds like we spent hours talking about that subject because we are exactly on the same page. So thank you for your great word of wisdom, and I hope everybody take it in. You see, even I know people are so intimidated with art. And look, Kate did it by herself. Like she said, today you may want to take classes, and it's so easy now online. You know, you can get so many classes, and I would recommend Kate's, and Yoshino, you know, has beautiful work. But also you can just practice by yourself, you know, but don't rough it in. Make it easy on you. Trying to buy, like you said, there's something you said earlier, which it's a quote I've used. I forgot how I said it, but for me, that I've been selling art supplies all my life, basically, you know, that's what I've done. The idea, particularly when I talk to and have relationship with even very famous artists that sell for millions and stuff, you know, it's the concept that art supply should be invisible. It should be an extension of yourself. You should be the tool or the color or the spice that's natural, easy, fun, and you shouldn't have to even think about it. So my goal has always been trying to provide the right and the better product for the person, and so he doesn't have, or she doesn't have to think about it. So I think you said something of that nature, and that's very important.
Yeah, I was just, maybe it's the same thing we're talking about, like just getting supplies that elevate you instead of hold you back. Like you should not have to struggle against your supplies. Like I've gotten in arguments with people who have said, well, if you're a great artist, you should be able to use any art supply and just turn it into a masterpiece. I'm like, be that as it may, I don't fucking want to. Sorry for the cussing. Like, I don't want to. Why do I need to do that when I can have really amazing products that help me and like maybe open my eyes to something that I had no idea that I could do or that I wanted to do, instead of like, oh, this paint sucks or whatever.
Yes, and you know, I use that analogy often with cooking. You know, why struggle? If you want to make a good salad, buy a good heirloom, you know, organic tomato and a nice olive oil, and that's it. You know.
Yeah.
If you're gonna buy a lousy tomato, you're gonna have to buy a bunch of expensive sauce to make it taste good. But if you started with the right, you know, ingredients, it's very easy. And same thing with painting or drawing. It's not everything. It's first your talent and your inspiration and your concept. Of course, your creativity. But let's make art supplies easy on you. So that's the thing. But there is one thing what you said that that to keep is that it's true. There is a misconception sometimes that people think when they are beginner students, they should start with student grade, cheap stuff. And it's only when you become professional and expert that you allow yourself to use the good stuff. I think it's the reverse. It's when you start, that's when you need to start with the good stuff. And when you are so good, you may be able to get away by doing good painting with the less as good. So to me, it's the other way around. That's what many people think. So.
Right, and that's a lot of the things when people are like looking for a shortcut, like what materials do you use, or you know, that kind of thing. Like, if I gotta give you my supply list, buy the stuff on the supply list. I've already used that other shit that you're bringing in, and I know it doesn't work. Like, that's why the supply list is the way it is. Like, the people that are suggesting these things to you have gone through what you're going through, and they're like, here's the hack. Like, this is actually the hack. Like, you have to use this, you know, thing to do this. We've already, like, you know, I've already gone through the different papers and found the one that I like through trial and error. That's why this is like, oh, well, what's the secret? The secret is what I'm telling you. It's not a secret.
All right, we're all full of secret. I'm sure you're not sharing all your secret. You keep some. So on that note, last question.
Well, before we go, before you say your final words, I just want to invite everybody one more time to please check out the link on our post for Kate's workshop from No Wave. And if you can, make sure to snag that workshop while you can, because it is a steal.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, I for everything, and I don't yell at you or anything like that.
So please, follow Kate, follow her work, her teaching, and thank you so much, Kate, to have come today. And I can't wait. until I can come down to visit again and party with all your friends and our common friends. So
Yes.
on that note, 1, 2, 3, go pay!
Bye.
Bravo! Love you
Thank
all.
you.
Go, great weekend. Happy holidays. All the good stuff.